This is my not quite tea dammit. I have a Diet Coke today that I'll be drinking. But whatever fits you today, have that thing. Mostly I want a nice cozy warm thing, but I just got home from work and I had lots of tea at work. So wanted to switch it up a little bit. So I haven't even opened it yet. Just got home. How are you doing? How was your day? Sorry about the shaking. If you heard shaking. Good job, me. You're on a different table. As you can see, I'm in a different place. So I rigged this up, but as you can see, it jingles. Sorry for the people that made nauseous. I did it without thinking. I won't do it again. Yeah, so any shaking from here on in will be unintentional. That's exactly what I wanted. But I have to make sure. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this, but I should remove the label so you don't see that it's a brand. But I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that. Ah, this is this side, okay. Aha! No product placement here. I feel like I've just turned the corner when it comes to feeling super exhausted and unable to do anything after work. I feel that I've just turned the corner. Maybe it's too soon for me to call, but I'm thinking I have way more space. But I've done a few things, so I can't really pinpoint why I feel that way. One thing I want to talk to you about is like this brain dumping exercise that I've done. I didn't coin it. I found it from who knows where. But basically, everything that's in my noggin, I write down. That's a task that has been keeping up space in my brain because I've been trying to remember that I have to do it or stressing about it in some way, shape, or form. So I write all these things down and I ended up with like 5 pages. And that made me feel good anyway, just to get things in my brain down. But then the next part made it even better. So after the actual brain dump of all the tasks that you have to remind yourself that you need to do, after that, I took my handy dandy marker or whatever, and I scratched out everything that I knew I wasn't going to do. And that felt good because it was like a conscious decision to not do. Not that it occurs to me that it needs to get done, and I go, yeah, I really need to get on that thing. And then I forget. And then the next time that I remember it, I'm even more stressed. So this felt like an intentional, like, nope, not doing that this week. And I don't know, that just felt good to me. So I did that. And I did that a lot because I had 5 pages of tasks to work with. So I did quite a bit of scratching out. And then with the things that weren't scratched out, I looked at what was left and I thought to myself, what is the one thing? What is the one thing on my list that I would like to make some progress on this week? Doesn't mean it has to get done. In fact, I didn't complete this thing at all. But I got a little bit further. I nudged the needle a little bit closer to done. And yeah, so that was the thing. I looked at the other stuff and I'm like, okay, so some of this stuff is stuff that I really have to do, but some of the stuff is, you know, I have to get it done, but it's not urgent. So I was able to look at it, and because it was all up down on paper, I felt that it was easier to handle. When it's in my brain, sometimes it seems a lot bigger than it actually is, and I have a hard time starting, and I know other people can relate to that. I just feel like my brain is so full and cluttered, and I get overwhelmed with just the concept of all these things. It's just so messy. And to write everything down just made it lose power in whatever way. So I don't know if it was that. I made the intentional decision to not knit or crochet last week. Not that I don't enjoy that activity, not that I don't have a use for that activity. I mean, I knit and crochet little blankets and I do that for charity. So it's not like I'm aimlessly just doing it. And I'm not judging anybody that has that activity as a sort of mindfulness, as something they enjoy doing. Not at all. You don't need to have a purpose. You don't need a reason for everything because of productivity. You don't need to have an end goal for something to be pleasurable. You can just do. And I attribute that a lot with knitting and crocheting for myself and crafting and whatever. But I was thinking about this and I was using knitting and crocheting as a way to kind of distract myself. I don't really know from what. I think it was just a default, similar to some people have like coming home from work and turning on the TV and lounging in front of the TV. Nothing's wrong with that. But what I felt and what I found that I was doing is that it was preventing me from doing things that I really wanted to do and I felt like I needed to do. And because of that, I was more stressed because the things kept piling on. And I felt like I had less and less time to myself, even though I was having more and more time for myself because I was having lots of downtime. I was knitting and crocheting and doing whatever. I'd have like either a playlist on or I'd have YouTube on or whatever. And I just felt like time would go like this. And I didn't feel like I had any downtime or any time to myself or whatever. And I felt more just encapsulated by work. I didn't feel like I was enjoying my time. And so intentionally, I decided that last week I was not going to do any of that. Now, this week was a little bit different because, and I know it's not over yet, it's halfway through. by the time I'm recording this. And I did that a couple of times. One day my body was just doing a thing, and I was not having a good time. I was tired. I was in a bad way. And the best thing for that, because I can't really do anything else or much of anything else, and I really don't enjoy anything, and I really don't want to be present in my experience because my experience is just, this sucks. You know, I don't want to feed myself. I don't want to do anything. Everything hurts. And so even though it was hurting me, I did a little crochet and I watched YouTube and whatever, because I was like, I'm going to distract myself with this. And I made that decision. So that's what I ended up doing. So between the brain dump last week and not doing this crochet thing to distract myself, I felt like I got a lot of stuff that I always say that I want to do, but never seem to have time to do it. I got that stuff done. So I don't really know if it was one particular thing. I don't really know if it was the brain dump situation where that exercise just made everything kind of go into place for me. I don't know if it was me not knitting and crocheting and therefore I had time for other things. I don't know which it was. What do you think it was? I think both of those were good exercises. Understanding that I was using something that I positively like doing that was having a negative impact was a strange but good thing, I think. And I will never say that I won't crochet or knit again, or craft, or anything like that, because I enjoy doing those things. So let me know what you think. I also wanted to talk a bit about something that happened to me a couple weekends ago. So, a friend of mine, he's a dear man, he's very sweet, is going through a rough time, is going through a very rough time with depression. And I know this. We were going to get together for just a Starbucks and just meet up and jibber jabber, whatever. And he ended up not showing up. I waited around for about a half hour, 40 minutes, and then I left. It wasn't very far from my home. So it's not like it was a big to do. I was beyond stressed out. I was so worried about this person. And he was radio silent. So, because of what we had discussed in the past, I was thinking that something really horrible had happened, and I was very sad. And he ended up getting in touch with me. I'm very happy that he did. And he apologized. And because we had talked about it, I knew that his sleep was all over the place. And because of his experience right now, he'll fall asleep and nothing short of being shaken awake will actually wake him. Alarms don't wake him up. He's not in good shape. And it occurred to me, and I don't know if he experienced this, but when I was in that situation, I felt very ashamed, very much like this was another thing that I failed at. And I felt that my friend secretly hated me and was mad at me. Being on the other side, I can't talk about what anybody else feels, but I was none of those things. I understand what he's going through. And I don't love this person, but I care very deeply for this person. I want this person to do well. I want this person to experience some kind of comfort beyond what is happening to him right now. And I'm not mad at him. And I hope that he doesn't shy away from me because of this. I wish I could tell myself that when I was going through it. I wish that I could tell myself that these are people that are in your life because they love you and they want you to do well, and they don't know what to do because they can't fix anything that's happening. They don't know what to say. They don't know the secret behind your affliction. And if you make a mistake, they're not going to hold it against you if they know. I wish somebody told me that. I really do. I wish I could tell myself that because I wouldn't trust if somebody else did tell me that. So I want to tell him that it's okay. There was an attempt made to be social, something that he didn't want to do. I acknowledge that. All you want to do, at least what I wanted to do, and I'm pretty sure that he mimics that, is just be under pillows and hide away from the world. I know what that's like. So if somebody out there is going through that as well, just know that's okay. Your friends, if you mess up, if you make plans with them and you always cancel because things are just too heavy for you, know that your friends do care about you. There are people out there that hopefully know what you're going through and are accepting of that, and not accepting, because accepting means that there's something wrong that they have to put up with. And hopefully you have people in your life that don't feel that way. Hopefully you have people in your life that you can be honest with about how much you're struggling. And believe you me, that is a great way to figure out who actually values you. I've definitely had it where I confide and I'm disappointed. But in a lot of the cases where I confide and that happens, it was a good thing in the long run. It was good that I know that. And then some really surprising people stepped up where Maybe I confided a little bit. Maybe I didn't, but they acknowledged certain things. They clocked certain things that I was doing, and they were more present with me. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be your forever people. Some of them aren't still around, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong. They're not my enemy. I'm not their enemy. We didn't have a falling out where there was hurt feelings or whatever. Life just does what life does. And it took me in one direction, took them in another direction. But just know if you're going through it, you can be honest with what you're experiencing. I didn't. I was very quiet about what I was experiencing. I very much didn't want other people to know. I didn't want to show what I thought was weakness. I did not want to show that I cared at all. And I was just like bumbling through life. I did care. I was hurting. And I would tell myself that too. I would tell myself that I didn't need to do that. I was hurting myself more by doing that. So I definitely encourage anybody to find your safe people. Be honest with what's going on with you. And if a mistake happens, it's just that. It's not a moral failing. You're allowed to be fallible. You're allowed to make a mistake. It doesn't mean that the other person doesn't deserve an apology. You can apologize for what's going on with you. They can have compassion for you. They can coexist. But don't feel that because you made a mistake, all of a sudden everything's for naught. Because that's not true. That's not true. They still care about you. They still want you well. They're still cheering you on. If they're a good friend, they will. Good friends cheer on people. They want their people to win. So anyway, that's me sharing what happened a couple weeks ago. And I hope this person is finding something of comfort right now. I know one thing that he has is a good family system, and maybe he's able to utilize that a little bit. I don't know. And I know that this is something that's lifelong with him. And I wish him well. I've been thinking a lot about that. I was thinking the day after the no show that I was going to call the police and do a welfare check on him. And they were going to find him not around anymore. And that made me incredibly sad that I'd be in the world without him. Not that I think that we will always be in each other's lives, because life is going to go where it's going to go. I can't predict. But the world is better because it has my friend in it. The world is better. And I'm sure somebody thinks that the world is better because you're in it. There are people that might be around that think that you're something to celebrate in this world. And so I don't know if you've been reminded of that lately. I don't know if you've never been told that, but please hear me. And if you feel like you have no one to talk to and no one to do just what I was talking about earlier, there are places to call, there are people to listen to just that. And those people do care. A lot of those people are volunteering their time to care because they care. And you're not taking time out of their day. You're not, wasting their time. They're there if you need to reach out. And I encourage you to if you need that. I know that was a very heavy topic, and it's so close to my heart, and I know it's so close to a lot of your hearts as well. How do we transition from that to something later? I don't know. Today's a very warm day, and where I am, the snow in a lot of places melted, has melted, and we're at a lovely part where a lot of the snow has gone away and there's not a lot of huge puddles. Don't get me wrong. Oh, yes, there's large puddles. But it's almost to a point now where you can just walk around in your regular sneakers. And I don't like hot weather, but I do appreciate this. I do appreciate today. I walked home from not from work, because around my work is super unwalkable. So I bust halfway and then I walked halfway. So it was about an hour walk. And that was nice. I liked that. I'm gaining a little bit of weight. You might have noticed. My weight goes like this. I really don't care. But it's nice that I'm moving my body more. It is something that I know changes my mood quite a bit. Something that I know is a good thing, is something that I look forward to. Do you have something that you do that you look forward to as well? I hope that you're able to do those things. It's what makes life worth living, really. I mean, I used to love weightlifting and stuff like that. So I can't do stuff like that. But one thing that I found that I could do, that I enjoy doing, is walking. It's just this repetitive thing that I find that my brain wanders. I find that I feel good after I get outside. I get some fresh air. I usually have my earphones on, whether or not they're actually on, or if they're just on my head. That's a different story. Sometimes I don't want to hear music. Sometimes I just want to hear the nature sounds. But sometimes I also don't want to talk to anybody. And so I find just having earphones on might send that impression. I'm not really a prickly type person, but sometimes if I'm really going through it and I'm outside, I just can't deal. I'll be straight up with you. I'll put those on and I'll be out for an hour or two, and I just don't want anybody to talk to me. I just want to do what I'm out there to do. Other times I have a good playlist going. So I have to build out a new playlist. My playlist is needing some updating, which is interesting because I could listen to my music for a week and almost not hear the same song twice. So it's interesting to hear or to think that I need to update my music a little bit. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's just, you know, music hoarding or whatever. All I know is that going for a nice long walk and having a good playlist, there's nothing that beats that. And actually, one thing that I do a lot of is dance while I wait for buses. And I don't mean full on break dance at the bus stop, although, like, if anybody wants to do that, I would definitely appreciate that. I don't know how safe that would be. If it's unsafe, don't do it. But definitely a little shimmy, definitely tapping my feet and just having a good old time. And I'm sorry I saw you shake again, so I'll stop. So I do that. I like having a playlist or music that gives me that reaction. And it's hard to make a playlist that will give you that reaction because what I find is that a song could do that one day and might not hit the same way the next day. So, figuring out a playlist that will give that result, I don't really think is very consistent. But I'm very inconsistent. I'm I'm a writer. Inconsistent. um, the last thing I want to talk to you about today is being a pen pal. I might have talked about this before. I don't know. But I really found when I was down and out and, you know, needing to go out and do a thing and whatever, or maybe not even going out, maybe just staying in. I found that having something come to your mailbox that wasn't a bill or junk mail was a good thing. There was a time where I felt very isolated and I felt very kind of alone and kind of not in a place that I wanted to be. And being a pen pal definitely helped that. It definitely felt social. A lot of people, they might downplay the effect of being a pen pal, but I've definitely had pen pals for the last 8 years. And they tell me, they're like, "I'm so happy you're my friend." And I say to them, "I'm so happy you're my friend." And we might share letters a few times a year. And doing that might be a great experience. It might, because I have problems with my hands, I'm not necessarily writing these letters in the traditional sense. Sometimes I write them. Other times I'm typing. Other times I am speaking to my computer. My computer is writing what I say. But I find that it's a little bit of reaching out and being social, whereas I didn't have a way to be social. And even though the prices of stamps are going up, if they haven't already gone up, I don't know. It's been a while since I bought stamps. I find that it's pretty accessible to do. There might be a lot of social activities that are beyond the means of a lot of people, and this might still be beyond the means of a lot of people. But I found that it is something that I was able to do. it is something that I'm able to do. It is something that I look forward to doing. There's something about having a letter or having something written and s- like the paper that things are written on and that definitely can make my day. Somebody chose to write to me, and that's not lost on me. The fact that somebody chose to write the words that they put down and chose to write those words to me, that isn't lost on me. Now, I tried, well, no, I didn't try. I looked around for pen pal things, and there's a lot of things out there. One thing that I was going through around that time is I was going through paranoia. And the last thing that I wanted was someone scamming me. And for some reason, I thought that everybody was going to. If you're able, at least with starting to be a pen pal, I recommend pen pal groups that have some barrier to entry, especially if you're feeling vulnerable or paranoid or anything like that. And the reason is any kind of barrier to entry usually stops scammers in their tracks a little bit, makes it a little less likely that you will find them. Now, that might not, again, any barrier to entry might also be something that you're not able to do. So, in that situation, I encourage you to look after yourself. You don't have to disclose things about yourself. I certainly don't until me and whoever I'm corresponding with have been writing back and forth for some time. They don't know, they might know, what province I live in. They might know what country I live in because, like, we're sharing letters. They know my address. Um, but they won't necessarily know, the how I'm feeling details. They might not necessarily know things that a person can capitalize on to try to get money off of you, right? Um, they might know more factoids than feelings. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with having different people in my life at various degrees of closeness. And I encourage you to experience that as well and to be okay with setting those kinds of boundaries for yourself. And the great thing about letter writing is if you don't want to answer something, if someone poses a question, or if you don't want to talk about something, you just don't. You just don't write about it. I have a lot of international pen pals. If you're writing somebody in Europe, I'm in Canada. So that might be like 3 weeks, a month to get to them. It might take 3 weeks to a month to get back to you. You or them might not remember that question or the situation that brought that question up. So I encourage you to not, especially if it's something that you know that you are going to worry about and you're going to think about over and over again, but the other person might read and then it goes poof out of their head. But I will say that I didn't experience a lot of that from being a pen pal. And a lot of people are also going through mental health challenges. A lot of people are also going through anxiety and have disabilities, and they might have different reasons why being a pen pal is what they want to do. So, yeah, I encourage you if you haven't and you are feeling that you're not as social as you want to be, you're not meeting people as much as you want to be, or whatever, I encourage that. I encourage you to explore that world. And you don't have to be a poet or a brilliant writer or whatever. I have pen pals that send me like 4 sentences in their letter. And that's great. I know the circumstances behind that, whether they're busy or they're having a hard time with things or whatever. And I have pen pals that their writing is almost illegible. It's fun for me to try to figure out what this person's saying. And sometimes it's really easy and sometimes it's not. But those are 2 examples of things that I hope encourage you to try, to attempt, you know? And I encourage you to not feel like you have to disclose what you're not comfortable with disclosing. There's a lot of pen pals that I have that don't know I'm disabled. I don't have cause to talk about that. We talk about lots of other things. So, yeah, you don't have to. I'm not telling you to lie about yourself. Share what you want to share, but don't feel like you have to share all of yourself. And I think with that, that is the time I have today to sit and chat. And I didn't have a lot of my pop, but I need to get ready and do some other stuff before bed today. So I want to thank you for having this chit chat with me today. And I hope wherever you are and whatever today is for you, that you're having the best time in the situation that you find yourself in. And I look forward to talking to you later.